Today I'll be discussing two different control schemes for the weapons of fighter aircraft. The Air Force system controls the guns using the trigger only and controls all other weapons using the pickle switch, air-to-air and air-to-ground weapons. You select which weapon using a switch on the throttle. The Navy system controls all air-to-air weapons using the trigger. You select which one using a switch on the stick. You control air-to-ground weapons using the pickle switch on the joystick. So why is there this difference? The F-4 Phantom was a fighter aircraft used by the Navy and the Air Force in Vietnam. Both had relatively poor performance with it in the early years of the war. The Air Force blamed this on not having a gun. They added a gun on later versions of their later versions of the Phantom, and in subsequent aircraft they wanted the gun to be immediately available, and so they bound it to the trigger. The Navy blamed this on a lack of training, and so they established the Fighter Weapons School, more commonly known as Top Gun. They didn't see the gun as a cure-all, and so they didn't have any particular uh, desire to have it controlled separately from other weapons. Both saw improved performance, but the Navy saw more strongly improved performance against Vietnamese fighter aircraft. So which one is better? I argue that the Navy's controlling all air-to-air weapons using the trigger is better because it's simpler, because the gun is dead in modern air-to-air combat, and because heads-up display modes nullify the advantage of being able to use the gun immediately. So it's simpler. You have the trigger for air-to-air engagements, and you have the pickle switch for air-to-ground engagements. There's never any confusion with the Navy system. With the Air Force system, if you're in a situation where you need the gun, you use the trigger for that. If you're in a different situation, whether it's air-to-air, you're in longer range, and you need a missile, or you're attacking a ground target, you use the pickle switch. So the next reason is the gun is dead. It is no longer considered useful in air-to-air combat. Since the Vietnam War, there have only been two U.S. fighter aircraft kills using the gun. Both of them were against helicopters. 3 maneuver kills where they engaged an enemy aircraft, and the enemy aircraft crashed trying to avoid or to get into position to attack. 1 kill using a bomb, so almost as many as guns, and 46 kills using missiles. So the missile is the weapon for modern air-to-air combat. So for heads-up display modes, you have different modes for different situations. You have modes for each specific weapon type. So if you're in an air-to-air engagement, a close-in engagement, you will be in almost certainly a missile mode. When you close in close enough to use the gun, you will have to switch to the gun mode because that gives you an indicator of where you need to aim, and it's almost impossible to hit using the gun if you don't have that indicator. So if you're using an Air Force aircraft, you still need to switch to use the gun effectively, even though you already have access to the gun just using the trigger. You still need to press a separate button to switch. So you might as well have that separate button also switch to the gun, and then you can put all of your air-to-air weapons on the trigger. So the Navy system, you're switching your heads-up display mode at the same time you're switching your guns, your weapon. So your heads-up display will tell you what weapon you're selecting, what weapon you're going to use. There's never going to be any confusion. And so these are my sources. And thank you.